Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. My complete intelligence report is being sold for 5,000 cosmic sand at the Flame Wind Pavilion. Luo Feng was very surprised. Mo Li Meng said, through causality determination by the Flame Wind Pavilion, it was confirmed that tonight, a supremely powerful eternal true god, Yin Kang, died within your cave mansion, Lord Luo He. The assassin tonight was called Yin Kang? Luo Feng muttered to himself in a low voice. He genuinely didn't recognize the name. After all, since he had entered the cycle and came to the land of origin, the only large city he had lived in was Huyang City. Luo Feng only purchased some basic intelligence about the vast endless world outside of Huyang City, so naturally, he didn't recognize Yin Kang. This is the intelligence on Yin Kang. Mo Li Meng sent a detailed intelligence report through the transmission token. Upon reading it, Luo Feng understood that Yin Kang was on par in strength with Mo Li Xiao and Shui Yun, but most importantly, his survival skills were extremely strong. He had managed to survive despite being hunted by an elite squad dispatched by the primal chaos overlord. To think that killing an assassin would cause the price of my intelligence to skyrocket, Luo Feng shook his head and sighed. If I'd known he was Yin Kang, I'd have taken the bounty on him from the Flame Wind Association's Dark Hall. What a pity to miss out on a fortune. Luo Feng generally only looked at the bounties within Huyang City. Bounties from other cities? There were countless. At the same time as Yin Kang's death, the Flame Wind Pavilion also revoked the bounty mission for Yin Kang, with the original reward being deducted by 10%, and the rest returned. It's merely some bounty, insignificant for Lord Luo He, said Commander Mo Li Xiao. The Lord of Huyang City also said, as a frontier metropolis, Huyang City is the front line of conflict with the Sha Kingdom's forces. Commander Mo Li Xiao and I are also under great pressure, and we need to focus on dealing with the forces of the Sha Kingdom. If Lord Luo He is willing to help, he could easily earn a large sum of bounty. The three of you may leave now, Luo Feng said, not wishing to speak with them any longer. We won't disturb you any further. The Lord of Huyang City, Mo Li Xiao, and Mo Li Meng all stood up. Soon, the three of them took their leave. As the gate of the cave mansion closed, Mo Yu Qingyang watched with a trembling heart. The Lord of Huyang City and the commander came together, and the master didn't even go out to greet them. When they left, the master didn't see them off either, and not even the Lord of Huyang City seemed upset over this. In their interactions, the master was clearly more dominant. Mo Yu Qingyang also grew excited internally. What great fortune have I, Mo Yu Qingyang, stumbled upon that I may have the chance to take the master as my mentor. I must work hard and first comprehend the 10 fundamental laws. The unfathomable strength of the master made Mo Yu Qingyang all the more determined. The 5 great families and the forces of Sha Kingdom, as long as they don't act foolishly, won't provoke me, Luo Feng thought. I can take this opportunity to focus on my cultivation for a while. Luo Feng took a few steps and entered the underground hall. Inside the underground hall, he released the Star Tower. Currently, Morosa was in one of the tower's levels, digesting food, while Luo Feng went to another level. With a wave of his hand, the many spoils of war appeared in front of Luo Feng. This harvest is not considered significant. Luo Feng glanced at it. Chen Yu Chong, no matter that he was a leader of Huyang Guard, the treasures he left behind were worth only about 200,000 cosmic sand in total. Mei Wu Qi left behind treasures worth about 300,000 cosmic sand upon his death. Neither of them was particularly wealthy. Luo Feng shook his head. This was to be expected, as these members of the great families, these ordinary eternal true gods, despite their noble status, had big expenses. And how much could they save from the cosmic sand allocated to them by their families? In terms of individual wealth, they were not as rich as the Blood Python Association leader. Yin Kang was the wealthy one. Luo Feng looked at the other large quantity of spoils of war. The most valuable items Yin Kang had on him were 2 solo-type mechanical stream secret treasures. The other possessions he carried with him were average in value. All of his left treasures were worth about 3.5 million cosmic sand. Compared to his status, it's still a little less. He probably invested his accumulated wealth into his own cultivation, Luo Feng understood. Bloodline cultivation consumed a vast amount of resources. An enormous amount of resources are poured in hoping for the bloodline to evolve to become more powerful, and it is an abyss with no end. Many powerful beings invest tremendous resources and yet cannot become a primal chaos overlord. The two mechanical flow secret treasures, one is the Sword of the World's Core, possessing only one move, condensing primal chaos divine power, valued at about 1.5 million cosmic sand. The other is the Myriad Realms Escape Command. It was with this that Ying Kang could move instantaneously within Huyang City, and even under the suppression of my control primal chaos, this treasure still allowed him to outpace me. Wielding the Sha Wu wings and using control primal chaos, Luo Feng's power was terrifying. The Blood Python Association leader was so suppressed he couldn't even put up a fight. Ying Kang resisted such suppression and still managed to outpace Luo Feng. This was not something that could be achieved solely by one's realm, but rather with a powerful escape-class mechanical flow treasure. Mechanical stream secret treasures are quite helpful to me now. But in the future, the help will become less and less significant. Luo Feng understood this point. A perfect divine body refined for the second time, even if it is lower in realm and simple in techniques, can already rival the power of mechanical stream secret treasures. Purple Jade Gen was also effortlessly pierced through with a single strike in front of Luo Feng. As my realm advances, the power wielded by my perfect divine body will become stronger. If I refine it a third time, there will be a substantial improvement. Mechanical flow secret treasures will become even less significant to me, Luo Feng reasoned. The perfect divine body and willpower are his true reliance. Luo Feng closed his eyes and began to focus on sensing the primal chaos laws from the primal chaos ruins nearby, tangible as if real, immersing himself in cultivation. Within Huyang City, the various powers all assumed that the five great families would not let things rest and were keen to see the upcoming conflict between the five great families and Lord Luo He. But the result was, the five great families backed down. At first, everyone believed that the five great families were secretly hiring experts, which might take some time to arrive at Huyang City. But as time passed, everyone began to understand the situation clearly. As for the news of Ying Kang being killed by Lord Luo He, after all, its intelligence worth 5,000 cosmic sand. Very few forces who had purchased the information would be willing to let it leak out. Why should other families easily obtain the intelligence that one's own family had paid a great price to acquire? As time elapsed, those within Huyang City who knew of the news that Lord Luo He killed Ying Kang remained only the few top forces within the city, and these forces naturally grew increasingly wary of Luo Feng. Cultivation time, like running water, passed by unnoticed for more than 2 decades. Huyang City, within a dark and gloomy hall. The figure in a white robe wearing a red mask stood there, looking at the speck of blood-red flame in midair, the flame emitting an aura of disaster and darkness. Marquis, the white-robed figure greeted respectfully. Shueyun, you've been in Huyang City for quite some time now, the voice came from the blood-red flame, yet to this day, you've not accomplished the task I gave you. Divine Monarch Shueyun replied with utmost respect, Marquis, I dare not slack off, and I've tried every possible method to track down the complete formation diagram of Huyang City. But the Huyang City formation has been so extensively modified and supplemented over generations that it has become incredibly complex. The array masters who personally repaired it only know a small area of the formation they were responsible for. It's impossible to understand the entire grand formation. I only want results, the blood-red flame replied coldly. I will give you one last era to obtain the complete formation map of Huyang City. I will send 2 experts to assist you. If you are still unable to do so within an era, you may as well come back. I will make other arrangements for the matter of Huyang City. Divine Monarch Shueyun was taken aback. If he could not succeed within an era, would the affairs of Huyang City no longer be his responsibility? As the leader of the Sha Kingdom's forces within Huyang City, although it was quite dangerous, the Sha Kingdom would continuously provide him with resources. Many of these resources ended up in Divine Monarch Shueyun's own hands. Divine Monarch Shueyun, with a desire to become a primal chaos overlord, naturally needed a vast amount of resources. If he were to be recalled, coupled with the failure of the mission, the resources he would receive in the future would be greatly reduced. Marquis, within an era, I will spare no effort to seize the complete formation diagram of Huyang City, Divine Monarch Shueyun said respectfully. I've arranged your assistance, and you haven't been shorted of resources. I hope that this time, you won't disappoint me again. The blood-red flame's voice was ice-cold, and it gradually extinguished. Only then did the exceedingly respectful Divine Monarch Shueyun relax. Even as powerful as he was, he dared not show the slightest disrespect before the Marquis, an ancient primal chaos overlord who has journeyed through the long years. After all, even the most powerful eternal true gods would be effortlessly crushed by the Marquis. The Marquis is losing patience, Divine Monarch Shueyun pondered. He's so urgent, it seems the Marquis must have some significant action planned. I wonder how strong the two assistants sent by the Marquis will be. Divine Monarch Shueyun was patient, planning to wait for the arrival of the two formidable assistants before deciding on the plan to capture the formation diagram of Huyang City. Within an era, even if I cannot get the complete formation diagram of Huyang City, I must earn sufficient merit points. Otherwise, the Marquis will not spare me. Having taken a large amount of resources, naturally, corresponding merits were expected. Snowflakes were swirling down, the world blanketed in white. The snow of Huyang City was extremely cold, each snowflake like a glittering gem. Luo Feng sat on the peak of his cave mansion, stretching out his hand to catch the falling snowflakes, each snowflake's structure extremely intricate, like a formation diagram. Comprehending the laws is also getting slower, Luo Feng thought. I've been in the land of origin for 27 eras already. I made rapid progress in the early stage, but now my advancement is slowing down. This was normal, as his realm could be considered at the pinnacle level of an eternal true god. To thoroughly integrate a multitude of scattered insights, and to comprehend the complete primal chaos laws, was certainly not an easy task. Chem. Luo Feng looked down the mountain, seeing his servant Moyu Qingyang also deep in contemplation. Is comprehending the laws so difficult for you? You still haven't grasped the 10 fundamental laws, Morosa said while gnawing on meat, shaking his head. Moyu Qingyang couldn't help saying, Lord Luo Sa, it took me just over 2 decades to grasp 8 of the basic laws, which is already quite fast. My father even says that my comprehension speed is very quick. Too slow. With my teaching, not having comprehended the 10 fundamental laws by now means you're dull, Morosa said disdainfully. Comprehending the laws is a very simple matter. You need to understand that these laws don't exist in isolation, they are interconnected. It's due to the combination of different laws that all things operate, Morosa explained. I've said it before, you need to consider their interconnections to think about their essence. I don't understand, Moyu Qingyang shook his head. Alas, both the eldest and third of the Moyu family have become true gods of void space, only leaving you as the lone true god. Put some effort into it, your weakness is embarrassing, even to me. Morosa shook his head. Both your master and I progressed much faster when we were cultivating. Moyu Qingyang kept quiet, as he still wanted Morosa's guidance and dared not talk back, and he had to think of ways to appease him. Whoosh! Luo Feng landed beside them. Master, Morosa, and Moyu Qingyang immediately stood up. Come with me on a trip, Luo Feng instructed. The Fire Realm restaurant was bustling under the flurry of snow, with many guests present. Inside the kitchen pavilion, Suozi was focused on cooking. Over 2 decades had passed, and he had already become one of the main chefs at the Fire Realm restaurant. After all, the owner, Black Butcher, rarely cooked, leaving the main chefs and many disciples to handle the cooking. Okay, serve it all now, Suozi finished preparing a Fire Realm feast. Yes, an attendant who was waiting nearby immediately delivered the renowned Fire Realm feast to the guests. Suozi then relaxed. As a main chef, he needed to prepare some important dishes himself, while ordinary dishes could be delegated to his junior brothers and sisters. Having become a head chef, I've earned quite a few more primal chaos crystals. After a few more decades, I'll be able to purchase enough resources to try for a breakthrough, he thought every time he counted his increasing savings, filled with anticipation for the future. Brother Suozi, your brother has come. He's calling you over, a voice came from outside the kitchen pavilion. Okay. Suozi walked outside, where being a head chef meant he wasn't too busy. Familiarly, Suo Zi walked into a hall, where dozens of guests were seated apart from each other, with Suo Yun sitting in the primary seat. Suo Zi, Suo Yun called out. Suo Zi walked over. Today I'm hosting a feast for many brothers in the tower. Suo Yun laughed heartily. You must cook personally. Your skills are much loved by our Thousand Mountain Tower brothers. The skills of the Tower Master's brother, we are all well aware, someone commented. It's tough on brother Suo Zi. The numerous guests around laughed. Almost all those invited by Suo Yun were from the Void True Gods of Thousand Mountain Tower. Suo Zi smiled amicably, familiar with handling guests over the long years. I'll make sure everyone is satisfied. I'll go cook now. Go ahead with your work, and come join us for a drink afterward, Suo Yun instructed. Okay. Suo Zi then left the hall. Tower Master Suo Yun, why don't you bring your brother to join us at Thousand Mountain Tower? Lord Chiu, you don't know, my brother wants to stay with his master and learn the art of cooking. He really doesn't want to come to Thousand Mountain Tower. Suo Yun was one of the 39 Tower Masters of Thousand Mountain Tower, which clearly spoke of his high status as he chatted and dined with the members. Suo Zi returned to the kitchen pavilion and received a detailed menu via a transmission token. Some simple dishes were delegated to his junior brothers and sisters, but many main dishes required his personal attention. Arriving in Huyang City over 2 decades ago, Suo Yun has completely changed. Suo Zi had grown up with Suo Yun in the tribe, and he could sense the changes in Suo Yun within Huyang City. Now, I find it hard to tell whether his words are true or false. He frequents the Fire Realm restaurant not because of me but to chance upon Lord Luo He. Suo Zi knew this very well. He was recruited by the dark forces of Thousand Mountain Tower and promoted to Tower Master because of Lord Luo He. Over the past 2 decades, Suo Zi had seen numerous guests come and go, sensing the intangible influence of Lord Luo He. Because of Lord Luo He, many eternal true gods were willing to come to the Fire Realm restaurant. Because of Lord Luo He, the Fire Realm restaurant had expanded its premises several times over, greatly improving business. Because of Lord Luo He, Suo Zi himself had received vigorous cultivation from the owner. Lord Luo He has arrived. Suddenly, the attendants at the Fire Realm restaurant all perked up, passing the message around. Lord Luo He has arrived. Suo Zi also looked outside the pavilion, instantly spotting the figures of Luo Feng, Morosa, and Moyu Qingyang approaching in the distance, with the owner Black Butcher already moving forward to greet them. Supreme, the Black Butcher was extremely enthusiastic and respectful. He too had struggled to get to the land of origin by passing through cycles of reincarnation, and his days had improved significantly only because Luo Feng enjoyed visiting the Fire Realm restaurant. It was during these past 2 decades that he was able to quickly accumulate resources. He did not mind being humble. What he feared was the absence of hope. Previously, while operating the restaurant for many long years and being oppressed by dark forces, he hardly made much profit, sometimes even operating at a loss. These past 2 decades of good days had amassed more wealth than he had accumulated in all the preceding years combined, naturally enabling him to buy resources to aid his cultivation. Black Butcher, your Fire Realm feast is getting better and better. If I don't come for a while, I start craving it, Luo Feng said with a smile. It's my honor that the Supreme enjoys it. I will get to the kitchen now and strive to do even better. The Black Butcher grinned broadly, his smile genuine. Supreme Shong and the others are at the old place. Luo Feng nodded and flew towards the familiar hidden pavilion. During the flight, when some of the Fire Realm restaurant attendants and many guests saw Luo Feng, they showed great respect, including the overly respectful Suo Yun. This is Suo Yun, joining the dark forces. His and Suo Zi's paths are completely different. Luo Feng noted all the faces effortlessly. For Suo Zi and Suo Yun, Luo Feng was still quite concerned. After all, they were among the first creatures he saved upon his arrival in the land of origin and had also arrived in Huyang City at the same time as him. Luo Feng was quite interested in their future development. However, joining the dark forces was something Luo Feng did not quite appreciate. Sigh. Luo Feng approached the secluded small building. Brother Luo He, Shong Tianyang and another eternal true god, Sang Shueyun, were already at the door to meet him. Moyu Qingyang was standing guard outside the little building. Meanwhile, Morosa relaxed and walked to a small building nearby, instructing the Black Butcher, "Arrange some food and drink, you know my taste." "Don't worry, I understand," responded the Black Butcher, who immediately set things up. After spending so much time together, he could sense that the servant Luo Sa had an unusual relationship with Lord Luo He. Right after, the Black Butcher, filled with fighting spirit, began to adjust his mindset, dedicating himself fully to preparing a Fire Realm feast. After all, Lord Luo He was his most important guest, and he had to be well attended to. From a distance, Suo Yun watched Luo Feng enter the building and narrowed his eyes in thought. "Lord Suo Yun, is that Lord Luo He?" Lord Chiu looked from afar, his eyes filled with envy and reverence. As a core member of the Dark Force's Thousand Mountain Tower, Lord Chiu was well aware. Lord Luo He was a top-tier figure in Huyang City. Even the 5 great families had to restrain themselves in front of him. "Yes, it was Lord Luo He who saved my life. If it weren't for the divinity, my brother and I would have died long ago," Suo Yun exclaimed. Inside the secluded building, Luo Feng, Shong Tianyang, and Sang Shuiyun sat down. Shong Tianyang chuckled, "Brother Luo He, when you called for me, I just happened to be at this Fire Realm restaurant with Sang Shuiyun. You two really have a close relationship, always coming and going together," Luo Feng teased. In the entire Huyang City, there were only 2 eternal true gods infatuated with the Dream Flower Tower Master, precisely Shong Tianyang and Sang Shuiyun. Though they were considered rivals in love, they actually got along quite well. Initially, Brother Shong and I were both loners in Huyang City, free from any attachments. That's when we got acquainted, Sang Shuiyun shook his head. "And now, I am still carefree without any ties, but look at him, establishing the Heavenly Flame sect, tirelessly mentoring a whole bunch of disciples, acquiring a bunch of burdens, making him strain himself as well." Sang Shuiyun had wings and always carried an air of decadence, as well as a somewhat reclusive nature. "I have spent countless heart force on artifact refining, I have to pass it on," Shong Tianyang remarked. "Why do you absolutely have to pass on your skills? In the whole land of origin, there are many artifact refining masters stronger than you. The loss of your artifact refining skills would just be a trivial matter," Sang Shuiyun said. "Don't overestimate yourself, we are just insignificant little waves in the land of origin. Even a little wave has its moment to ripple. With your decadence, you can't even count as a wave, just dust," Shong Tianyang replied. "I am dust, and you are a wave," Sang Shuiyun shook his head. "Actually, even if you want to pass on your skills, taking a few disciples would have been enough. Establishing a sect and having all those sect concerns mean you can never truly be free. Luckily, you met Lord Luo He and for the past 2 decades or so, you've been relatively at liberty." "Haha, I should thank Brother Luo He," Shong Tianyang looked at Luo Feng. "In the past, there were many things I couldn't extricate myself from, having to consider the whole sect. Now, the various powers hardly dare to go too far." Luo Feng said, "Brother Shong, if you didn't care about the sect, didn't care about the disciples, you could be as carefree as Sang Shuiyun." Sang Shuiyun nodded, "He's just foolish. If you can't speak nicely, then keep quiet. I need to discuss important matters with Brother Luo He now." "You might as well leave," Shong Tianyang urged. "I'm off," Sang Shuiyun said simply, standing up and leisurely leaving. Luo Feng watched Sang Shuiyun go. He could feel Sang Shuiyun's reclusiveness. In this world, it seemed like there was nothing Sang Shuiyun truly cared about, as if he were merely a passerby in the world. "Sang Shuiyun's temperament, and you actually became friends with him," Luo Feng remarked. "He and I are quite similar," Shong Tianyang said. "Quite similar?" Luo Feng was surprised. To him, Shong Tianyang and Sang Shuiyun seemed to have completely different temperaments. One loved making friends, and took great care in teaching disciples, managing the sect. Yet the other was extremely reclusive, caring about no one. "In Huyang City, I understand him the best, and he understands me the best," Shong Tianyang smiled. "Perhaps that's why both of us are enamored with the Dream Flower Tower Master." "I don't understand you too," Luo Feng shook his head. More than 2 decades had also made Luo Feng's relationship with Shong Tianyang very good, and they were congenial in temperament. Luo Feng had compassion for the weak, and Shang Tianyang was also naturally compassionate towards the weaker ones, otherwise, why would he painstakingly teach his disciples? They chatted over food and drinks, relaxed and at ease. Suddenly, buzz. A small cosmic domain appeared in the Fire Realm restaurant. Luo Feng and Shang Tianyang turned their heads to look, their gaze piercing through the walls, seeing the restaurant owner Black Butcher, who had just finished preparing the Fire Realm feast. He had a sudden epiphany while fully committing to the feast and broke through the final barrier. The source of law he mastered naturally formed a domain. I didn't expect this Fire Realm restaurant's owner to have broken through, becoming an eternal true god, Shang Tianyang marveled. Preparing a Fire Realm feast for us, and he actually broke through to become an eternal true god. This feast must be delicious. Luo Feng was somewhat greedy. Before long, the Fire Realm feast that led the Black Butcher to his epiphany and breakthrough was served. Luo Feng devoured the feast, his eyes lighting up with excitement. He was a regular at the Fire Realm restaurant, but today's banquet with large chunks of meat meticulously refined his godly body and stimulated his soul. The soul stimulation was tenfold greater than before. Good, good, good. Luo Feng praised repeatedly. The Fire Realm restaurant's fare already suited his taste, but now, after the Black Butcher's culinary skills had broken through to the source of Law Realm, Luo Feng was becoming infatuated with the Fire Realm feast. It was simply delightful. The completely transformed Fire Realm feast was the top delicacy Luo Feng had ever tasted within Huyang City. This flavor. Sang Shueyun, who was tasting beside him, also seemed excited. I've lived in Huyang City for so long, and the Black Butcher's cooking skill can now be considered the best in Huyang City. There were indeed several eternal true gods in Huyang City who loved cooking, but the Black Butcher was the only one who had stepped into eternity through the art of cooking. Having fully comprehended the essence of the source of law as a cultivator of the law lineage, his culinary arts were naturally even more extraordinary. This Fire Realm feast, I feel, greatly benefits my cultivation. Luo Feng could feel that the transformed Fire Realm feast was even more effective than many auxiliary cultivation items. Brother Luo He, why not take the opportunity to understand the mysteries of artifact refining? Sang Shueyun suggested. Good idea, I certainly have some confusions, Luo Feng mused as he ate and drank, contemplating the numerous intricacies of the primal chaos great strength diagram for his third body refinement. With more than 2 decades of cultivation experience, he had accumulated a great depth of knowledge. Thinking all the while, Luo Feng also discussed with Sang Shueyun. His insights seemed heightened by the soulful stimulation from the delectable food. Some perplexities cleared up after just a few words from Sang Shueyun. After the Black Butcher's enlightenment of the source of law, his small cosmos back in his homeland began to expand. With Lord Luo He present, my transformation within the Fire Realm restaurant is actually the safest. The Black Butcher suppressed his excitement and meditated in the small building, patiently waiting for the expansion of his small cosmos to complete. In his home region of the primordial cosmos, time flowed 10,081 times faster than in the land of origin. So, just in the time of a chat and drinks, his small cosmos back home had completed its transformation. The Black Butcher's true god's heart had fully transformed, and his entire godly body began evolving to a higher level. An endless stream of divine power transmitted from his distant homeland through the true god's heart to his whole body. I've finally broken through to the eternal true god realm. The Black Butcher was overwhelmed with emotion, having waited far too long for this day. In Huyang City, he had seen guests come and go, always greeting them with a smile. He had even maintained a smiling face under the pressure of the dark forces. At last, he had made his breakthrough. He had fully entered the ranks of the powerful in Huyang City. Even though I've broken through, I'm just a newly advanced eternal true god. Within Huyang City, I still need to tread carefully. The most important thing for me is to maintain my relationship with Lord Luo He. The Black Butcher was very clear about this. He immediately left the small building and headed straight to where Luo Feng and Sang Shueyun were. Mo Yu Qingyang did not stop the Black Butcher, allowing the restaurant owner to go in. Black Butcher, congratulations, Luo Feng said with a smile. My achievements today are all thanks to the divine monarch. The Black Butcher bowed deeply in respect. Without your protection, How could I have amassed such resources over these 2 decades and achieved today's breakthrough? For this great kindness, I do not know how to repay you. Luo Feng laughed. When I visit your restaurant in the future, just give me some discount. Now that your culinary skills are renowned as the best in Huyang City, the prices are sure to rise 100-fold. I'm going to feel the pinch. Divine Monarch, from now on, your meals at my restaurant will always be free, the Black Butcher declared generously. Luo Feng looked at the Black Butcher and said, then it's a deal. I won't pay with primal chaos crystals anymore. The Black Butcher was somewhat excited by this and repeated, it would be my honor. Black Butcher, you're really lucky, Sang Shueyun remarked as he looked at the Black Butcher. At their level, they wouldn't really take advantage of petty benefits from eating and drinking. By saying this, Luo Feng was expressing an attitude the Fire Realm restaurant was his place. After all, the strongest eternal true god of Huyang City who specializes in cooking may face many involuntary situations. With Luo Feng's protection, the Black Butcher, a newly advanced eternal true god, could truly stand firm in Huyang City. No choice, too many powers lurk in Huyang City, and a newly advanced eternal true god who doesn't rely on a major power will encounter plenty of troubles. Unless one is unattached like Sang Shueyun. I'll go down and cook a few more dishes for the Divine Monarch, the Black Butcher said with a laugh before excusing himself. Inside the small building. Brother Luo He, are you going to protect the Black Butcher from now on? Sang Shueyun asked in surprise. In all of Huyang City, I like his cooking the best, and his temperament is also good, Luo Feng said with a smile. By protecting him, I'm also protecting my gastronomic pleasure. You're too kind, willing to help the weak, Sang Shueyun said. Sometimes, being kind and benevolent can be costly in this world. Luo Feng looked at him. My kindness depends on who the recipient is. By the way, since you're studying key skills in body refinement, are you interested in learning artifact refining? Sang Shueyun asked. I know a bit about weapons, armors, and mechanical flow secret treasures. Although I've taken many disciples, in terms of talent in this area, you are far stronger than any of them. I'm not interested for now, Luo Feng replied. When I am, I'll ask you for guidance. Alright, whenever you want to learn, I'll teach you. Sang Shueyun was still willing to teach. Actually, in terms of inheritance in artifact refining, his master mountain-sitting guest was a godly king in the artifact refining lineage, so Luo Feng naturally had access to this system of inheritance. It's just that understanding it was quite esoteric. Having Sang Shueyun's guidance could save him from taking many detours. The two of them talked about artifact refining and the situation in Huyang City. Only after they finished eating, drinking, and discussing, did they part ways. Let's go. Luo Feng, carrying Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, left when the entire Fire Realm restaurant was in a celebratory mood. Master has become an eternal true god. Master has made a breakthrough. The many disciples of the Black Butcher, including Suo Zi, were wildly excited. Previously, they were just disciples of a true god of void space. But now, they had ascended to heaven, each one of them had become a disciple of an eternal true god. Their status within Huyang City had greatly risen. Under normal circumstances, how difficult it was to take an eternal true god as a master. And the price was even more exorbitant. They were all from the lower echelons of Huyang City, merely learning from a true god of void space. Now, happiness had descended from the heavens, their master had broken through by himself. Naturally, each of these disciples was thrilled. Suo Zi, congratulations, you've really hit the jackpot, becoming a disciple of an eternal true god straight away, Suo Yun, who had grown accustomed to looking down on his brother over the past 2 decades or so, said. His brother was content to be a chef, something Suo Yun looked down upon, thinking him fearful, incompetent, and lacking in ambition. Wanting to become powerful in a place like Huyang City, how could one not fight recklessly? Not take risks? Not seize every opportunity? If it weren't for the frequent encounters with Lord Luo He, Suo Yun would have been too lazy to have too much to do with his brother. But who would have thought fate could be so magical? Suo Zi had actually become a disciple of an eternal true god. It's the master's greatness. We're just lucky, Suo Zi said, filled with joy at the moment. Meanwhile, Luo Feng, Morosa, and Mo Yu Qingyang had already left on the flying boat. Standing in the cabin of the flying boat, Luo Feng looked outside at the endless Huyang city covered in snow, so beautifully enshrouded in mist. Huyang city had completely turned into a city of ice and snow. He really liked this city, coming to the land of origin, choosing to live in Huyang city. One reason was he wanted to see more of the world, another was to avoid the primal chaos overlords and the godly kings. That's why he chose this frontier metropolis Huyang city. Before becoming a primal chaos overlord, it's better to stay hidden here. Luo Feng understood that he was still weak and not fit to clash with primal chaos overlords. It's time to prepare for the third body refinement, thought Luo Feng. After today's conversation with Shang Tianyang, mastering the three body refinements of the primal chaos great strength diagram was only a theory. Those who could complete the three body refinements were considered skilled in the field of artifact refining. Luo Feng's progress was so rapid that even Shang Tianyang wanted to teach him more artifact refining skills. The third body refinement requires materials estimated to be worth 3.6 million cosmic sand. Luo Feng frowned slightly. I only have just over 1 million cosmic sand, quite a bit short. I'll have to sell one of my mechanical flow treasures. Luo Feng thought. Of the 4 mechanical stream secret treasures currently in his possession, the Showu wings with control primal chaos and wingblade were useful. The super-wide primal chaos domain was still of great use to Luo Feng. Moreover, Showu wings held special significance to Luo Feng. Naturally, he couldn't sell it. His primary method of combat relied on the perfect divine body. The Myriad Realms Escape Command, a mechanical stream secret treasure, was of great help to him. The Lifeblood River was less important compared to the Myriad Realms Escape Command. The Sword of the World's Core, which only had the effect of condensing primal chaos divine power, was of no use to Luo Feng, as his perfect divine power, with the aid of Sha Wu Wings and Lifeblood River, transformed and condensed power no less than primal chaos divine power. Within Huyang City, there are mainly 3 forces: the city owner's mansion, the Sha Kingdom, and the third local force. Luo Feng considered, let the city owner's mansion and the local force make an offer. Whoever offers more, I'll sell to them. Luo Feng made his plan and immediately sent a message to Mo Li Meng and Zhu Yu, informing them that he intended to sell the mechanical stream secret treasure sword of the world's core. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The sword of the world's core held little attraction for Luo Feng. But for eternal true gods with higher realms and those who had mastered moves of the primal chaos realm, it was very attractive. Their divine power was not as pure as Luo Feng's. Possessing the sword of the world's core could significantly boost their strength. Ying Kang relied on the sword of the world's core for such terrifying assassination power. While the city owner's mansion and local forces were all focused on the sword of the world's core, an ordinary-looking dark red flying boat arrived at Huyang City. Inside the dark red flying boat, 2 figures stood in the cabin, looking out at the city. It seems the Marquis is ready to act, to fully seize Huyang City, a female figure with an icy body said. That is why he sent the second brother here to join forces with Shui Yun. Behind Huyang City stands the Marquis of Zhujiang. The burly figure stood firm as if he himself were an unshakable world. Although Marquis of Zhujiang has quite a reputation, he is still a notch below the Marquis compared to our superior. The icy-bodied female nodded in agreement. Though both were venerable primal chaos overlords, fame was built over long years through strength. The Marquis Liu Yin of their backing, Sha Kingdom, indeed had a greater reputation than the Marquis of Zhujiang. Our siblings, as well as Shui Yun, together, are enough to turn Huyang City upside down, the burly figure declared. It's just that this Shui Yun is too cautious, unwilling to take risks, and hasn't made big gains in Huyang City. When I see him later, I'd like to compare our strength. If he's less powerful than me, he'll have to listen to me. This Shui Yun, although he is from an older generation, is probably not a match for my second brother, said the icy-bodied female, well aware of her second brother's strength. We'll know after we compare, said the burly figure. The dark red flying boat moved quietly forward to meet with divine monarch Shui Yun. A moment later, inside an underground hall of what seemed to be an ordinary cave mansion, a figure clad in a white robe and wearing a red mask greeted 2 guests, saying with a smile, I've long heard of the fame of the 5 gods of Yutian of the Yutian clan. I never expected that the Marquis would send the two strongest among you here. My second brother is the strongest in our family. I pale in comparison. I'm not even in the top 3 in our clan, said a woman with a body of icy coldness, as she chuckled softly, naturally emitting a chill that greatly reduced the temperature of the entire hall. So you are Shueyun, said the burly figure looking at Divine Monarch Shueyun, wearing a mask and disguising your aura. You don't even dare to show your real face? Divine Monarch Shueyun continued to smile at the two. After all, I need to stay undercover within the Sha Kingdom for a long time, so it's better to be cautious. Chemph. The burly figure indifferently said, the Marquis should have already told you about our coming to Huyang City. Yes, sending you two to assist me is for the purpose of seizing the complete formation map of Huyang City, said Divine Monarch Shueyun. The 3 of us acting together must have a defined leader. The Marquis didn't specify who should take command. In my view, we ought to have a trial to decide, said the burly figure. Divine Monarch Shueyun looked at the brother and sister, nodding lightly. I have long heard of the fame of Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi, and I would also like to test you. You two can join forces. Join forces? Both the burly figure and the woman of icy coldness changed their expressions slightly. They were both very proud. 2 against 1? This was an insult to them. I alone am enough to deal with you, said the burly figure. If you can defeat my second brother, we siblings will naturally obey you, said the woman with the icy cold body. Very well, I have heard that the strongest of the Yutian clan, Yu Tianshu, has awakened a special bloodline and has refined his body refinement secret technique to an unimaginable extent. Divine Monarch Shueyun looked at the burly figure. Today, I shall test that. As he spoke, Divine Monarch Shueyun released a large boat secret treasure, placing it at the center of the hall. Please. Divine Monarch Shueyun, Yu Tianshu, and Yu Tianyi all entered the interior of the large boat secret treasure. After all, the commotion from a clash at their level was too great. Fighting inside the secret treasure could ensure the battle did not get exposed. The 3 strongest forces of Sha Kingdom's forces in Huyang City, at this moment, began their trial inside the large boat secret treasure, the outside world none the wiser. A moment later, 3 figures flew out. Within Huyang City, everyone regards Lord Luo his godly body as extraordinary, who alone can pierce through the mechanical stream secret treasure, Purple Jade General. But in my view, brother Yu Tianshu, your godly body is probably even stronger than that of Lord Luo he, praised Divine Monarch Shueyun. Even the legendary unlimited godly bodies might find it hard to surpass yours. With brother Yu Tianshu's help, our chances of capturing the Huyang City formation map have greatly increased. My second brother's godly body can be said to be the pinnacle of bloodline cultivation path among the eternal true gods. Yu Tianyi looked at Divine Monarch Shueyun in surprise. I didn't expect that he would still lose to a divine monarch. This exchange had made the siblings aware of just how deeply hidden Divine Monarch Shueyun was. Divine Monarch Shueyun, concealing his true identity all this while, wasn't very famous, but his strength exceeded their expectations. To this day in my cultivation, you are the eternal true god I've seen with the deepest accumulation. Yu Tianshu also expressed some admiration. In our fight, you used 5 moves from the primal chaos realm. Having deduced so many moves from the primal chaos realm, you must be a step into the primal chaos realm, right? I don't know. Divine Monarch Shueyun shook his head. I've always been accumulating, feeling that I'm getting closer and closer to the primal chaos realm, but as the years pass, I still find myself stuck as an eternal true god. Divine Monarch Shueyun, have you also studied the law lineage? Asked Yu Tianyi. Yes. Divine Monarch Shueyun admitted, being stuck in a bottleneck for a long time, I tried comprehending laws. As my understanding of laws improved, I could more effectively tap into the potential of my bloodline. The 2 cultivation systems are not contradictory, but rather, they complement each other. Divine Monarch Shueyun, your understanding is indeed much stronger than mine, Yu Tianshu conceded. This time, I am convinced by my defeat, and for this operation, both my sister and I will follow your lead. Yu Tianyi also nodded on the side. Looking at the pair of siblings, Divine Monarch Shueyun secretly sighed in relief, finally having convinced them. Inside Huyang City, the city owner's mansion's greatest advantage is the geographical advantage, which in fact refers to the grand formation of Huyang City, said Divine Monarch Shueyun. the Huyang City formation has been continuously improved by masters through generations. Once its numerous capabilities are unleashed, our strengths will also be significantly suppressed. Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi both nodded in agreement. The formation map is the core of Huyang City, guarded most strictly, said Divine Monarch Shuiyun. Speaking of the most strictly guarded place in Huyang City, it is undoubtedly the city owner's mansion, and I guess the formation map is inside the city owner's mansion. Knowing that, what can we do? Both Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi also felt troubled. Are we supposed to just storm in? The city owner's mansion's defenses were too strong, akin to a super-large mechanical flow secret treasure, full of dangers. No hurry. The Marquis gave us a century's time. We have plenty of time, said Divine Monarch Shuiyun. The first step is to capture all the experts who have repaired the Huyang City formation. Since they have repaired the formation, they must have some understanding of it. Collect as much information about the Huyang City formation from them first. They might know the location of the complete formation map, said Shuiyun. How many experts who have repaired the formation are there in Huyang City? Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi were not aware. Historically, there have been many who repaired it, but there are 9 who are still in Huyang City, said Shuiyun. One has already pledged allegiance to us, but the other 8 are somewhat troublesome. Capture 8 eternal true gods. For the Yu Tian siblings, this was no pressure. With a wave of his hand, Divine Monarch Shuiyun conjured the detailed information of 7 eternal true gods in midair. Our targets are these 7 eternal true gods. 7. Wasn't it 8? Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi were puzzled. The person responsible for repairing the formation of Huyang City was named Shong Tianyang, Divine Monarch Shuiyun explained. He is skilled in artifact refining and belongs to the mechanical school, ranking as one of the top artifact refining masters within Huyang City. However, he is the best friend of Lord Luo He in Huyang City. If we were to capture Shong Tianyang, it might easily provoke Lord Luo He. Lord Luo He? Yu Tianshu sneered. Before my siblings and I came to Huyang City, we gathered intelligence on all the eternal true gods here, and it said that Lord Luo He hardly ever makes a move. He has killed association leader Mu Yang of the Blood Python, pierced through the purple jade gem of the Huyang Guard's mechanical stream secret treasure with a single hand, and it's likely that assassin Ying Kang was killed by him too. Divine Monarch Shuiyun nodded. Indeed, he seldom takes action. He fought with assassin Ying Kang, who has seen it. Who can say for sure that it was he who killed him? Yu Tianshu shook his head. Even if he did kill Ying Kang was just an assassin, known for sneak attacks, assassinations, and using escape to preserve his life. No one has ever said he had a powerful godly body. With an ordinary godly body, once he fails, he could easily die, Yu Tianshu said. In my opinion, his strength might not be that great. It was probably just a good match against Ying Kang. None of the forces within Huyang City have seen Lord Luo He and Ying Kang fight, and yet they are this frightened? Yu Tianyi also shook his head. In my view, since he is an eternal true god, he shouldn't be much stronger than us. My second brother and you, Divine Monarch Shuiyun, are both considered at the pinnacle of the eternal true gods, so how much stronger can this Lord Luo He be? Perhaps you are right. Divine Monarch Shuiyun nodded. But our mortal enemy is the city owner's mansion. The city owner's mansion's mortal enemy is us. At this time, neither of us wants to provoke unnecessary trouble or gain an uncontrollable opponent. Since Lord Luo He, not vying for power or benefits, there's really no need to provoke him. For the mission, let's ignore him for now. Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi were also aware of what was more important. Our first step in the plan is to capture these 7 eternal true gods. We must plan meticulously, Divine Monarch Shuiyun said. Replied Yu Tianshu and Yu Tianyi. They had some doubts about Lord Luo He's strength, but they were very wary of the city owner's mansion because behind it stood the ancient Marquis of Zhujiang and many godly kings of Yu Kingdom. To deal with Lord Luo He, the city owner's mansion could not transfer some strong forces from higher up. But when dealing with forces from Sha Kingdom, the city owner's mansion could legitimately request support. Under the night sky enveloping Huyang City, Luo Feng sat at the peak of a high mountain in his own cave mansion, drinking while contacting Mo Li Meng and Zhu Yu. 10 days have passed, You must have thought it over, Luo Feng messaged them separately. The mechanical stream secret treasure sword of the world's core, you have also experienced its power in my cave mansion. Make your offers. There will be competition from many parties, and the highest bidder will win. Luo Feng had actually only contacted these two parties. But Mo Li Meng and Zhu Yu did not know how many forces Luo Feng had really contacted. 1.5 million cosmic sand, Mo Li Meng offered. 1.3 million cosmic sand, Zhu Yu also stated his price. Luo Feng responded, the current price is 1.5 million cosmic sand. In fact, these past few days, Luo Feng had also visited the Flamewind Pavilion to inquire, and the Flamewind Pavilion was willing to buy it for 1.4 million cosmic sand. However, Luo Feng did not want to sell to them because for the Flamewind Pavilion, whose commercial network nearly spans the land of origin, what treasures have they not seen? They were only willing to offer a relatively low price. 1.55 million cosmic sand, Zhu Yu messaged. At that moment, a gentle woman was sitting beside him. Lord Wei, the bidding is very competitive. Lord Luo, he has raised the price to 1.65 million cosmic sand, Zhu Yu said to the gentle woman beside him. This gentle woman, a formidable figure hidden within Huyang City. Even the Zhu clan was wary of her. Increase by 50,000 cosmic sand each time, the gentle woman instructed. It's now 1.75 million cosmic sand. 1.9 million cosmic sand, Zhu Yu noted each price while watching the woman's reactions. Tell that Lord Luo, 2 million cosmic sand is my final offer. Any higher, forget it, the gentle woman said. Zhu Yu nodded. Once the final price was stated, Zhu Yu waited a moment before showing joy. 2 million cosmic sand, the sword of the world's core, belongs to Lord Wei. 2 million cosmic sand is a reasonable price to pay, especially since we don't know when we might encounter another mechanical stream secret treasure capable of condensing primal chaos divine power, the gentle woman smiled. Lord Luo, he will come to the Zhu clan soon to personally deliver the sword of the world's core. Would you like to meet Lord Luo he? Zhu Yu asked. I am not suited to show face, Lord Wei shook her head. Zhu Yu understood. Meanwhile, several divine power incarnations gathered at the city owner's mansion. 2 million cosmic sand? Did Luo he intentionally inflate the price? How can a single sword of the world's core be priced so high? A white-haired elder frowned. The price is too high, we're not buying. If the price was inflated, this Lord Luo he will lower it and come back to us, a companion commented. Mo Li Meng was responsible for communicating with Luo Feng. The final price for the sword of the world's core is 2 million cosmic sand. It has been sold, Mo Li Meng looked around at his companions. It's sold, the white-haired elder was startled. This video will end here.